Good morning. My name is HASSAN BAKAR, student ID 2020-478-788, and I come from Group 2. And today I'll be presenting my study case about lactic acid related to muscle cramp. Firstly, we're going to get to know about our topic, and I'll be describing you what is the meaning of lactic acid and muscle cramp. Lactic acid is a chemical byproduct of anaerobic respiration, the process by which cells produce energy without the oxygen around. The formula for lactic acid is C3H6O3. Muscle cramp is a sudden and involuntary action of one or more of your muscles. Muscle cramp can cause several pain, and it'll become severe if they not be treated. We'll be going to answer the case study questions. First, where does lactic acid come from during vigorous activity? When we exercise, our body uses oxygen to break down glucose for energy. During intense exercise, there may not be enough oxygen available to complete the process, so a substance called lactate is made up. Our body can convert this lactate energy without using oxygen. But this lactate or lactic acid can build up in our bloodstream faster than you can burn it. The point when lactic acid starts to build up is called the lactate threshold, while this whole process is called oxygen debt. This is because we borrow the oxygen first and will pay it back after the intense exercise. That's why we breathe faster after the exercise finished. Next is the differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. We all know aerobic respiration is respiration that need oxygen to undergo the process, while anaerobic respiration is where we don't need oxygen to undergo the process. Aerobic respiration takes place in all plants, animals, except for some primitive prokaryotes. Oxygen acts as an electron acceptor, which helps produce ATP effectively. Preferred method of degradation of pyruvate after glycolysis, where the pyruvate enters the mitochondria to be fully oxidized during the Krebs cycle, and the ATP that produced at the end of aerobic respiration is 29 to 30 ATPs. For anaerobic respiration, it takes place in many environments like freshwater, soil, deep sea surfaces. Sulfate ion or nitrate ion is act as an electron acceptor. It is essential for biogeochemical cycles for carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur. Anaerobic and fermentation both take place in cytoplasm of prokaryotic cell, and the final product of ATP for this anaerobic respiration is 2 ATPs per glucose molecule. We're going to get to know about the final electron acceptor in aerobic respiration, which is oxygen. In aerobic respiration, the final electron acceptor at the end of the electron transport system is on oxygen molecule. This is reduced to water, H2O, by the final electron transport system carrier complex, which includes a terminal oxidase and usually a cytochrome. The terminal oxidase differs between bacterial types and can be used to differentiate closely related bacteria for diagnosis. For example, the gram-negative opportunity Pseudomonas aeruginosa and the gram-negative cholera causing use cytochrome C oxidase, which can be detected using the oxidase test, whereas other gram-negative bacteria like E. coli and other members of Enterobacteriaceae are negative for this test because they can produce different cytochrome oxidase types. We're going to get to know whether lactic acid will still be formed even the athlete breathes oxygen. The answer is lactic acid still form even when the athlete breathing oxygen, because although the athlete is breathing oxygen, it will never be enough to sustain intense exercise, so the muscle will produce more energy and oxygen through the fermentation and lactic acid, because it will cause an oxygen death, which I said before, and which is the anaerobic respiration will take place. Have you ever wondered whether there is an effect of gender that affect the accumulation of lactic acid? So the answer is the results from study comparing gender difference in blood lactate accumulation are limited. There is also no study that can confirm the difference in gender can affect the blood lactate removal after intense product exercise. However, according to the Journal of Difference Between Genders in Aerobic Capacity During a Supermaximal Effort by Rodrigo A. B. Di Poli, shows that women have lower anaerobic capacity compared to men by negative 25.71% in relative values. This shows that there are several difference between the genders that can affect the accumulation of lactic acid, but not directly, because there is just women have a lower anaerobic capacity compared to men. Now let's take a look whether the body size can affect the accumulation of lactic acid. Results from studies comparing body sizes in accumulation of lactic acid shows that there is no difference, because it depends on intensity and amount of exercise complete. Robert J. Buresh at 2004 in his journal Relationship Between Measures of Body Size and Composition and Velocity of Lactate Thresholds shows that the body size does not directly affect the accumulation of lactic acid, because it all depends on the amount of exercise completed. But as you all know, the higher the mass, the higher the energy that will be used, so the amount of exercise will also be increased. This is actually will be indirectly affect the accumulation of lactic acid, because the higher the body size of someone, it will create more mass, and if it create more mass, the energy that will be used during the exercise will also be increased, so the accumulation of lactic acid will be decreased, because the increasing of the energy that be used to complete the exercises. I believe everyone need to know a basic about respiration, because if they encounter any troubles in future, so they can have like ways to overcome the problems, especially when they're suffering from muscle cramp, because if they fail to do so, it will be trouble, or it will bring more burden for them in the future. Here I will leave some of the references from the research that I've done before presenting this case study. I guess that is all from me. Thank you.